2007 Highlander, front wheel drive. It's a hybrid. Changing the shocks. They're shot. 169,000 miles. See, it's bouncing at least 3 times after you rock it. This is going to be a comparison about these cheap shocks off RockAuto. FCS Auto strut assembly, the whole thing. It's going to be more of an observation video comparing the OEM shocks. Current ride suspension height is 30 7/8. Yeah, 30 7/8. Comparing the OEM shocks to the FCS Auto shocks. Right there. Fully assembled, I mean, you know, spring strut assembly. $75 each. Made in China. Let's get the old ones off. So I'm not really going to show you how to disassemble this, but there's plenty of videos out there. So on the 07 Highlander front wheel drive, you got the 2 bolts here. 22 millimeter, I believe. Let's see. Oh, I don't know where I put the socket. Yeah, it's 22 millimeter, I believe. Brake line 12, looks like a 12. You got a clip right here for the brake. That just pops off. Looks like it just pops off. Yeah, it does. Make sure you lubricate. Start lubricating. If you know you're going to do it, start lubricating 2 weeks in advance, a month in advance. You're going to have to disconnect your stabilizer bar. Not the bottom, just the top. Okay? So, 2 big bolts here. Brake line, stabilizer bar. That's it for the bottom. Up top, under the hood, 3 bolts. Okay? So, anyways, you know, this one's shot 169,000 miles. Not much rust. Looks pretty good. I mean, it looks pretty clean. Looks pretty clean. I'm in Minnesota. This car's only been in Minnesota for 5 years though. So, anyways, let's get to it. Okay, so we've got the old one out. Ready to put the new one in. The new FCS shock. Everything looks pretty much the same as far as the, you know, the mounting points, the brackets. Looks very close to the same. This one has a little bit of a different shape on the new one. You can see this one's more square. This one's a little bit bigger. The thickness of the metal, you know, without measuring it, feels the same. I noticed the bottom of the FCS has a dimple right there with the hole. The OEM shock does not. These holes are the same. That one's the same size. The one in the bottom of the FCS shocks, the holes are smaller. What that means, who knows? These 2 holes are the same. You got a notch there. Same. Looking this way, you can see the springs on the OEM shocks are much taller, much wider. I don't know if that's because they're wore out, but this one is about 1 inch taller. That's why it's sitting much higher. What that means, I don't know. Of course, it comes with new bolts. The boot tucks up underneath this lip, just like the OEM one. The mounting plate looks the same. All that says, do not remove this nut because it's under extreme pressure. So, what can you tell by looking at it? Not much. Let's weigh this thing. The OEM shock weighs 24 pounds, 3 ounces. Now, I don't, it was leaking fluid, so I don't know how much of a difference that makes. I wouldn't think very much. A couple ounces at the most. The FCS shock comes in at 23 pounds, 2 ounces. So what does that tell us? It tells me that they maybe used cheaper metal. Not as heavy gauge steel. Who knows? The finish looks good. Everything looks good. I mean, everything is finished. There's no sharp edges. It looks very smooth. I noticed that the OEM shock has this rubber sleeve over the spring right here. I don't know why, to protect it from something. It goes around and stops right there. The new shock does not. This is definitely Toyota. That's all it says. It doesn't say any other brand name. So these are the mounting nuts for the top, under the hood. Look at the difference in the OEM right there, and the one that came with the FCS. Needless to say, I will be using the old nuts. Okay, so there it is, installed. Everything lined up really good. The bolts, no problem lining up with the holes. The clip right there for the brake line, holes were in the proper spot, lined up with no problem. The stabilizer bar, the hole lined up. Bolt went through the hole, no problem. All the holes up top were okay. Don't try reusing the stabilizer bar, just buy a new one. They're $14 each. Had a heck of a time. Try to save that. It's not worth it. And everything lined up top. So it's not a question of fitment. If these things will fit, it's how long will they last. Okay, so there you go. 2 shocks replaced. Took about 3 hours. Never done it before. I could do it probably, now that I know what I'm doing, about half that time. Pretty easy. Get the proper tools. No bounce. It's the way it should be. We're at 31 3/4. I think that's what it was before, was it not? No, it was at 30 3/4. Double check. Yep, 31 3/4. So the ride height has gone up 1 inch. It might settle a little bit after driving it. We'll see. So there you go. 2 shocks, end links. I used Delphi. There's the part number. Assembled in Turkey. Doesn't necessarily mean they're made in Turkey. Probably made in China. There's the FCS Auto part numbers, if you're interested. 75 bucks, RockAuto. These were 14, I think. Keep checking back. I'll do updates. It's April now. I'm sure it'll be fine through the summer. The true test will be in the winter, but I'll post updates. Thanks a lot.